This video is sponsored by MSI. So, I'm building another PC. Although this time it should be a lot easier than last time. At least that's what I'm hoping. Holy sh! You see, the thing is that, well, this PC is gonna have a 5090 liquid cool. I've personally never seen a graphic card like that, but yeah, should be fun. Yeah, should be fun, I hope. Let's just see where this journey takes me.
Holy sh, bro! Thank you so much. I don't know what to say, bro.
Yes, the jungle. So, interesting. Somewhere in here, I've got a whole kit for this custom build. Is there something? Nothing in here. I need a new power supply. Where is this? What the hell, man? Where's all this stuff?
A few moments later.
Aha, there it is, the whole kit. Yeah. Check this out, okay? Ta-da! Everything I need for this build is literally in here except for a power supply. I definitely thought I had one, but I used that for a build we actually did almost a year ago. Regardless, okay, this kit was my life savior. Mainly because this meant that I didn't need to go out there and purchase some other parts. This was given to me a few months ago by MSI. It came with an Intel chip, a full-sized ATX motherboard, a liquid cooler, some RAM sticks, which is always nice, and this offset kit. And you know what makes me really happy is that because I needed to produce content for this a while back, most of it is already put together. I put together these Fury Renegade sticks of 24 gigabytes each at 6500 megahertz, paired with an Intel Core Ultra 9 285K, mounted on this Z890 Ace motherboard. I actually quite like this design. It's got a few clever ways of popping the SSD pads out. It's actually quite interesting. This is really like a full ATX board, unlike the one we worked on our last build. The only thing that I'm really missing out here is putting the AMG Core liquid cooler together. That's practically it for this board. But I of course need to wait because this is all I've got. I'm waiting for some packages to come in so I can go get them. So in this truck has the 5090 that I've been waiting for and the case. Other than that, I do have to buy a power supply, and I just realized I have to buy an SSD. So we gotta get those things. Then we'll be able to put this whole build together. Now, how long is this gonna take me? I don't know. Hopefully not too long. Brought in all the boxes I had in the car, plus the PC case and then the graphics card. I'm so tired because I just came back from the gym. But yeah, you know what? I'm gonna build this tomorrow. I'm gonna start building this tomorrow. Holy. The next day, I went out to go get some of the missing components, and luckily, my store had some of the latest RGB Corsair fans, so I grabbed some 120s and also a couple of 140s. You see, I want this build to look very much like what I currently have. I feel like this is my signature build, really, and I wanted this because, to be honest, this wasn't a computer I was going to keep. This was going to be a computer I was gonna give away. Did you already order PC components for your thing?
Not at all. And I was gonna like actually put it together when I move out. That's so I was putting everything on hold basically for that.
Okay, because I might have some components for you.
Oh, I buy it off you, by the way. Like, I feel bad taking
No, don't worry, bro. I don't think he knows what's coming. I also don't think I know what's coming. To be honest, at this point, I was hoping building this rig wouldn't be too complicated. I mean, how hard can it be to fully build a full tower like this? Okay, help me 2 seconds. It's got plenty of room, all the tools I needed to make happen. I had an insane GPU that's being liquid cooled, proper thermal paste. I mean, I got it all. And up until that point, this is what this build sort of looked like, bare bones. My goal here was to strip this out, like strip the hell out of it. More specifically, remove all the fans and connectors this came with, mainly because I wanted to use some LX120 RGB fans from Corsair, and the only reason I wanted to use these is because they are incredibly easy to install. In fact, I discovered this type of fans a few builds ago thanks to MSI. They had sent the similar fans, and ever since, I'd rather just spend the extra money to avoid headaches. Plus, they look really good. Although the only issue I had was that the 140mm fan was way too thick. Okay, so these I'm gonna have to return because the fans are too thick, so it won't fit in the back. Like the distance between here and here is sort of too small for those to fit, mainly because these are pretty chunky, right? So yeah, it makes sense. However, I can install this thing, and I'm gonna do that and call it a day for now because well, I'm gonna have to order some more of these LX120s. The good thing is that they're one-day shipping, so I'm gonna get some of those. It's crazy how big this case is because my fingers fit everywhere. It's absolutely nuts. So that's super nice. I can cable manage without any issues. This is so different from the build I was doing last week. Very nice. I'm technically still waiting for the rest of the fan set to arrive so I can install these within this GPU, which is absolutely crazy. I've personally never seen anything like this. But yeah, this is gonna be fun to install, and it's gonna look absolutely insane. I'm very excited. It's gonna be a really clean build, very minimal with the cables because the fans are really cool. Okay, let's see, what is this? Yes, there you go. Exactly what we needed. That's good. These fans, oh yeah, forgot about that. Okay, well it turns out that this connector actually connects these three fans that cool down the radiator, which is attached to the graphics card, right? With this little connector here. Now that means that this whole thing controls these fans through this connector. But for us, that's not what's gonna happen because we're gonna be using fans to actually cool down this radiator. Now I went on Reddit and it seems to be fine, even though the GPU will not be controlling the fans and stuff. You can adjust the curve slightly and it should be fine. However, like with everything we do, that's something that we're gonna have to test once everything is mounted. Look, I scattered all of the internet to make sure that what I was doing was okay, and indeed it was. Now at this point I needed to figure out my push and pull configuration. The radiator fans were going to push air out along with the side panel fans, which meant that the GPU radiator was going to pull air into the case. Although, you know what? After some research, some people said that push and pull config didn't really matter for a build like this, but I had one controller connecting the intake set and the other controller connecting the exhaust set, and part of that intake set was a 120mm fan I decided to put in the back. I put the connectors on the wrong side. Come on, man, like this. All I was hoping for at this point is that my temperatures were going to be stable with this decision and that the GPU wasn't going to suffer at all because of this. To be honest, I've never built a rig like this with two different radiators mounted in a case. At least this is probably one of the easiest cases I've ever built a PC in. It was incredibly easy to take apart, and the room in here is insane. It made this MSI GeForce RTX 5090 32GB SUPRIM LIQUID cooled. That's a long name. It made it so easy to fit in here, and that's what I love about this case. Plus everything that had to do with cable management, placing adapters and modules, making sure I could easily route all the power supply cables to connect them properly within their sockets. All of it was so good, and I'm happy to say that I got rid of that 4-way splitter because the PSU actually came with a dedicated PCIe 5.0 power cable. And this, ladies and gentlemen, were the final fine details I did before turning it on for the first time.
There you go. I'm not gonna cable match this because I want to make sure it works. So we are gonna go to the gaming setup and we're gonna connect it and pray that it actually turns on.
Oh wow, this thing's heavy. Where is my dongle? Right. Moment of truth. I don't even know if that's good. There's the power button here. Holy sh! This might be the first time I build a PC and it turns on right away. The only thing I forgot to connect is the RGB for that, but we'll figure that out after. Okay. Okay. All right. Yeah. Display port is not connected to the monitor. Give me 2 seconds. Come on. Come on, dude. Damn, it's so hot in here. Whew. We have an A9 code. The computer's connected, but nothing shows on the monitor. So we have an A9 code. Indicates that the computer has entered the BIOS, but there might be an issue with the monitor or its connection. Okay, fair enough. How about we just shut this down and turn it back on? Let's see, okay? Let's turn this back on. No freaking way. No way, no way, no way, no way, no way. 500,000 subscribers later and probably 20 builds later, and it's the first time I build a PC and it works off the bat. That's so sad. So sad. Yeah, I know, kind of sad. The tech YouTuber is incompetent. Look, I'm not here to fake it. I'm happy I was able to put this thing together without any hiccups, except for the screen. I thought the GPU was messed up at first, but turns out that it wasn't. I spent that entire evening installing Windows, downloading some drivers, updating the NVIDIA gaming and studio drivers. I spent quite some time making sure I was going to get the optimal performance out of this GPU and out of the entire build, of course, just so I can finally show you what the final build looked like. This here's what I like to call the protege of my own custom build. If I had to upgrade my own computer, it would exactly look like this, however with a 9950 X3D instead. But this has an Intel Core i9-285K paired with an RTX 5090 liquid cooled with 48 GB of RAM and a 1TB NVMe. Look, we know the Intel Core i9 is not really a gaming CPU, but this isn't what I built this for, nor do I care. I built this because, according to eBay, this GPU here is worth $10,000, and I wanted to put it to the test.
I think this is one of the coolest computers I've built. This and last week's custom PC, but that's not done yet.
Listen, now what I want to do is that I want to put it through its paces, but I'm going to move it from my setup to the 4K monitor, the gaming setup, because it just makes a lot more sense. So I can show you guys what this RTX 5090 can do, because I bought more games and I kind of want to just benchmark those games because they seem really interesting. So yeah, I spent like $200 on games. Starfield, Alan Wake 2, Cyberpunk, Red Dead Redemption. These are games that I wanted to benchmark and show you what this RTX 5090 can do. Know that all of these are running on a 4K OLED monitor outputting 240 Hz. So yeah, look, I did some digging. Okay, especially Gamers Nexus guide on Starfield. I remember he made this chart where he compared performance versus visual impact, and the first few settings that really tend to impact performance are reflections, volumetric lighting, and shadow quality. These are typically handled using rasterization-based techniques in Starfield, which are definitely performance heavy because they simulate the kinds of effects ray tracing would naturally produce. Now, it's actually kind of insane that none of that mattered on this GPU. I turned every single setting in this game to the highest setting and I was averaging about 100 frames per second. I played for a while last night and I never really ran into any chopping. You can of course activate DLSS or FSR if you want to gain some frames. By the way, DLSS and FSR primarily focuses on enhancing image quality and resolution, and you can also do so with frame generation. Both of those will yield high frames per second, but you can run it all without it. So that's really interesting. But how does Alan Wake 2, for example, behave? Alan Wake 2 is it's one of those games that pushes visual boundaries. It is one of the most demanding games at the highest settings and resolution. The game supports both DLSS and FSR2, and it is said that DLSS is much better to use. Now, things that eat a lot of VRAM on this game, okay? Texture quality, ray tracing and path tracing, resolution. So with Alan Wake 2, it's a different story. If you set everything to max graphics, okay, you'll very much average about 30 frames per second while playing. And the GPU, I've noticed, it pushes about 80 degrees after playing for a while. That said, I changed the graphics, and the first few settings to tweak were turning off ray tracing, setting volumetric lighting to medium, global reflections to high, and scattered object density to high. With this, and DLSS enabled to native, I was able to get about 75 frames per second on average within one of the most demanding scenes in the game, the forest. And honestly, it plays well, and it looks really good as well. Then came Red Dead Redemption. In Red Dead, I set every single setting to ultra without NVIDIA DLSS. You can easily average about 120 frames per second on a game like this. Even tweaking some advanced graphics setting, the RTX 5090, it really outputs an average of about 120. Really, Red Dead 2 is not a game to be concerned about. However, Cyberpunk might be, or at least that's what I thought, mainly because my experience with most builds has been very low frames per second when not using DLSS on Cyberpunk. Although on this, I actually average about 40 to 50 frames per second with maxed out graphics, including most features in ray tracing enabled and no DLSS. Which is not the best, don't get me wrong, but I'm quite far from the 20 to 25 frames I usually get. My small build actually was outputting those numbers, but raw performance will yield about 40 to 50, which is good. Now, if I wanted to get some really good numbers, that meant that I needed to change these settings. I found a chart on Reddit, shout out to the user that made it, but it went over some of the settings you can tweak to get the most out of your changes. A lot of it lies on ray tracing, which is why I set it to ultra. However, I decided to pair that with DLSS 4. And with DLSS 4 in Cyberpunk, DLSS has massively improved. You still get some ghosting and smearing, but it's said to be miles ahead compared to before, which in return improved my FPS by averaging it at around 80 frames per second.
Dude, it's so crazy how this thing is so quiet. And the temperatures have been so good. Like this GPU has been running at like 50 degrees, 60 degrees. CPU 62 degrees. So I guess the airflow is sort of good because I still have to put the glass panel. But anyways, I'm really happy with this. The last thing left is, I gotta call my boy and tell him that I have some parts for him. And then bring him this whole... This is a crazy freaking computer now that I think about it. This is insane, but he deserves it. So I guess we'll go do that.
Just gotta close up the panel and be like, yo, I got your components. So we're currently heading there.
Drop off the PC. I'm not sure how I'm gonna do this.
You look like a PI, bro.
Never done this before. I'm gonna get the big PC. Hide it behind this case.
Yeah. How are you, bro? How about yourself? No bad?
Woody, bro, I thought you were gonna keep it at 3. That's way too much.
No, it's good, bro.
Oh, bro, that's way too much.
No, you're good, bro.
No, bro.
I got you.
Bro, you're too good, bro. Like, literally not a full PC in my tripping.
Yeah, look, I built your PC.
Shut.
I swear. I swear.
No, bro.
Look.
What the? Yo, I might cry.
Yo, you're gonna trip. It's a crazy PC.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yo, there's no way, bro. There's actually no way. Holy sh**, bro. Thank you so much. I don't know what to say, bro. Alright, bro. Thank you guys.
Easy. Enjoy your day.
We got him.
Seems like nobody's learning from the ones who came before. But I run back to you.
Bro, when I saw the big box, I'm like, yo, bro, what the f***?
Yo, Fizzy's like, yo, this is more than a few parts.
I'm like, yo, I said it's a joke. I'm like, yo, you just got me a full PC as a joke. And then I see the PC and I'm like, yo, it's just real. Like,